So here is the Dorman manual shift repair kit that I bought from O'Reilly's, and you can see the new bushings, new screws, and new shift pins in there. And you can see there in the background the instructions for the installation, and I'm sure the instructions are pretty much just the opposite of when you take out the old bushings and everything. And those shift shaft pins that are the originals that are already in there are very difficult to get out. So as you'll see in the next part of the video, that there is a easier way to get them out than just pounding on them constantly with a hammer. So here you can see the two shift shaft pins. Here's one on the left and here's one on the right. And these pins aren't threaded, they don't have a bolt head on them or anything. And the other end of them is right over here, and it's just flush with the neck of this part of the transmission. And so the instructions say to just tap these pins out, and it's kind of difficult. You can see here if you tapped it with a screwdriver, your screwdriver's at a 45-degree angle, and it's not real conducive to tapping those out, especially if they've rusted inside of there or been in there for 25 years like mine have. So what I've got here is a propane torch kit that I picked up at Atwood's for 20 bucks, and I'm going to use it to heat up the surrounding part of the transmission around those shift shaft pins to expand that metal so that hopefully it'll be easier to tap out the pins. And be sure to have a bucket of water handy whenever you do this, because you sure don't want to catch anything on fire that doesn't need to be. As you can see here, I'm just heating up the surrounding metal around that shaft pin so that it will expand and make it easier for me to drive out the pin. Now you want to be sure and have something inside of there to keep anything from falling down inside of your transmission or catching your transmission fluid on fire. So I put a little piece of aluminum foil down in there, and hopefully that'll keep it safe. And always be sure and have you a bucket of water or something to put out the fire in case one gets going. So after about 7 to 10 minutes of continuous heating with the propane torch around the sides of the shift shaft pin, I took this ball peen hammer and this pry bar and started tapping on the shift pins. And after a couple good whacks, they finally both broke loose. And so as you can see here, the shaft pin on the right is partly out and the shaft pin on the left is all the way out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a flathead screwdriver and put it on the head of this right shaft pin and continue to tap it out from the outside now. So here are the two shift shaft pins that I got out. As you can see, they're about an inch long, and with a little bit of heating around the outside of them, being careful not to heat the pin itself, you can tap these out from the inside out with a hammer, pry bar, and a propane torch.